Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, I am back from vacation. We missed the late week episode last week, but we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, which is good. We were going to record one late, but we decided, you know what? Let's just save it for a big episode where we have a ton of news, and
A
we've
lot of
got
stuff to talk about.
we've got plenty to talk about, so we can jump right into it.
Before we
Um,
jump into that, how was your trip?
It was great. Thank you for asking. It was really good. Got to see a fantastic Canucks Lightning game, where I got to see Kucherov absolutely go off in person, which is always fun. Um, Incredible arena for the Canucks, like arena and fan base wise, for a team that is 10 points the bottom of the league from the second bottom team. uh, their fan base was very passionate, very loud, and even when it was like I think it was 4-1 going into the third period for the away team, it was like 9 o'clock. It was a Thursday night, so it's still in the week. And like I if people were leaving, I didn't notice. Like you look around and like the whole arena was still packed. Like it was crazy. Um, yeah, it was super
Mhm.
fun. Got to see a Golden Eyes game. I got my new Hannah Miller bobblehead, as it was bobblehead night for the game. Got to see them win as well, which was really cool. Great vibes there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Vancouver's a beautiful city. I'd never been. I would love to go back.
Good to hear.
Yeah,
All positive things, and that's what we hope for. But
yeah.
with that, just wanted to let you throw out kind of how it was and what you did.
I
But
appreciate
yeah,
it.
with
Yeah.
that, we can dive into what's going on around the league.
Do you want to
You
talk
just yeah,
about?
we just want to start from the front, right, and work our way through.
I think that's probably the best way to do it. And you wrote these, so I don't know 100% if we're thinking of the same team. But if I had to guess, we probably are. You
We
just have
are
this part
probably.
labeled "the best team we have seen in 30 years,"
Yep.
and somehow we're talking about the Buffalo Sabres.
The Buffalo Sabres. Yes, for those who don't know and why we're saying this, the Buffalo Sabres went on a 40 game stretch where they went 32, 6-2. And that is the best 40 game stretch since the 1995-96 Detroit Red Wings. So the Buffalo Sabres, who are on the longest active Stanley Cup playoff drought, I think 15 years, 14 years, right in there, um,
Yeah,
have
it's a
thrown
long
together
time.
the best stretch of 40 games we've seen in 30 years, and it's absolutely incredible what that team's doing. And again, we talked about it last week, and if they were going to make the playoffs, we were hoping it was going to be a game 82. They win and they're in. They're going to
Yeah,
steamroll their way right into the playoffs. They might even be the first team in the East to clinch a
they
playoff
might.
spot.
What do you expect from this team in the playoffs? However, you think the rest of this regular season will go, about 10, 11 games left. Maybe they go 50-50, maybe they win out, maybe they just continue this pace. They probably go like 9-1-1 or something. Um, but regardless of that, what do you think is the expectations, and what do you think they're going to do in the playoffs? Because I've been seeing every end of the spectrum with what people are
Mhm.
expecting.
I can't speak for all, like, for Sabres fans. I'll speak just for me personally. If I
Sure.
was a Buffalo Sabres fan, and more specifically, if I was a Buffalo Sabres fan who has been there through all of it,
Yeah.
from the last time they were in the playoffs till now, and all those years of misery, I would just be happy to be back in the playoffs, and I would for sure be going to a game.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely, I'd be going to one. But I wouldn't have expectations. I would just be happy they're back in the playoffs. I'd be hoping for wins and the team to go on a run. But
Of course.
if they got upset in the first round, and it's crazy we're saying upset in the first round, it would suck. But it'd be like, hey, you know what? It's a huge step forward for this franchise, and hopefully now that the Buffalo Sabres being cursed, never going to make the playoffs thing is kind of done. now, being in the playoffs can become a regular thing for them. In terms of like what they can do, I mean, if they finish top of the Atlantic, I don't think they're sweating about playing Montreal. I don't think they're sweating about playing Boston. I don't think they're sweating about playing the Islanders, Detroit, Columbus if they end up there, Pittsburgh. Like, I think the first round should be pretty. It should be easy for them. It's just they're going to be thinking about you're going to have to go through Tampa. Whether that somehow ends up being a first round matchup or in the second round, you know, in
If
my
they don't,
opinion,
then some upset
that's
somewhere probably happened. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
so if there's quite a few teams in there, I agree with you. Columbus, the Islanders, um, you know, the Senators are kind of hard to judge. Who the Red Wings are currently out of a playoff spot all of a sudden because they just every time March comes around, it gets rough for them. Do you take this team in a 7-game series over the Montreal Canadiens? For some reason,
Absolutely.
that's a very fun
Absolutely.
matchup to me.
For a couple of reasons. So actually not I'll say a couple. One, I think Buffalo's just got more skill overall throughout their team. That's not to say
Okay.
Montreal doesn't have good players. Montreal's got very good players, but you know, but between the two teams, who's the best player overall? Probably Rasmus Dahlin.
I was gonna say there's
In
three
in
names that
terms
jump to
of
mind.
in terms of everything, I would go Dahlin. But who would your
Uh,
three be?
oh, I'm actually gonna say four because I omitted a pretty big one. And it's split 2 and 2. I think on Buffalo's side, it's either Rasmus Dahlin or Tage Thompson, and on the Habs side, I think it's Cole Caulfield or Lane Hudson, which is kind of
Really, no
crazy. Maybe
Suzuki.
maybe I'm disrespecting Suzuki a little bit. I mean, he's on pace for like 90, 95 points and incredible defensive play. So frankly, he should probably be in
Mhm.
there.
And so
But
that's my
Cole
thing right
Caulfield,
there.
he's closing in on
Let's
the Rocket right now.
yeah,
He's I think
hat trick
second
the other night.
second in
He's
the league in
only
goals, only to McKinnon.
yeah. How far back is he? He's only 2 goals
I think
back.
2 or 3.
But
Yeah.
what you just said there is exactly why I'm going Buffalo. Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson. Just those two, and then add on the Owen Powers, the Alex Tucks, the now Luke Shen, Logan Stanley, big team. And Rasmus Dahlin's can be a bit of a tool, and we know that, and that's awesome. That's good for Buffalo. Montreal though, two best players, Caulfield and Hudson. Maybe old fashioned, but those are guys on the smaller side. If you're Cole
And
Caulfield,
they're
can
not
you
small
handle a
guys that
7 game
really get in there.
series? Yeah, like if you're Cole Caulfield, can you handle a 7 game series where every time you're in the offensive zone, you're getting hit by those big defense, and they're going to be all over you because again, it's a Buffalo team that's finally back in the playoffs.
It's
They're going to be hungry. They're going to be ready, and I'm going Buffalo
And
because they
we
have
saw
decided
like in the game versus the
advantage.
Lightning, they're not afraid to fight back
Hmm.
anymore. Which this is a
Yeah,
team where like we were doing the podcast. Was it even a full year ago when like Tage Thompson got absolutely dumped or like punched? I don't even remember what happened. He got like cheap shot in some way at center ice, and everyone just sat there standing around looking. And like
exactly what the Leafs did this
even the
year.
guy on the other team who committed it turned around and was like, I don't have to fight to get out of this. I just get to
Yeah,
leave. Like they were a very soft and just heartless team. And now they couldn't be more the opposite of that, it seems like. Um
like realistically, who's the better team between Tampa and Buffalo? For me, it is Tampa Bay. Which is an easier matchup for Montreal? I'm going to say Tampa Bay just because I don't think Montreal matches up good with Buffalo in the size category.
I can see that argument.
And that's what's been really helping Buffalo. They're not they're like they played the Sharks the other day and there's a couple fights and it's like why? It's just because Buffalo's hungry. They're nasty. They're fired up. They're winning. They're having fun and I mean
You know
I wouldn't want to play them.
the what you're saying about Hudson and Caulfield, like how they're obviously very skilled, but they're
Very
they're not the
skilled.
guys who mix it up. They're not guys who go in there and get sometimes greasy with it. Like, you know,
They'll still be
I think of
effective players. Like, I'm not
sure.
saying they're going to be
Oh
like
yeah,
ghosts in the series, but
you need guys who can
it's
get
not. It's
drug
going
into
to be
the
tough.
fight. And like,
Hmm.
I think of guys like, it's funny because he almost has the opposite narrative going for him. But a guy like Connor Bedard, a lot of people look at him and they're like, he's small. I don't know if he can do it. But the way he plays, like, he is absolutely willing to get in there. He is not
He's got a
afraid
lot of
to get
fuck
in there
you
and
in his
mix it up.
game. Yeah,
Yeah, which is super fun to see. And there's a lot of guys, even the smaller guys that are on Buffalo, Zach Benson, Jack Quinn, those guys, they're pretty undersized. They are not afraid to get in there and throw some gloves into faces. Like,
yeah.
even their smaller guys are willing to do that. So it's kind of throughout the lineup
It's because just a team
by design.
mentality at this point. It's they're all playing like they're the size of Tage Thompson, even though they're
Tage
a,
Thompson
a
didn't
foot
used
a
to do
foot
that
shorter
even.
than him. Like, yeah,
Like, even Tage Thompson was closer to Cole Caulfield's play style 2 years ago. Like,
hmm.
it's more of a recent development where he's doing that as well and playing his size. So I
And
definitely see
again,
that
like
argument.
I'm not saying Montreal's a bad team because I do like
No.
Montreal. And they got a lot of good players, but you when you do look at the plus, like the Florida Panthers, 3 straight trips to the Cup final and 2 cups, and it's because they were a. I mean, man, they still were a big team, but they were just physical. They were nasty. Like Buffalo's kind of playing that way, just not the cheap stuff. Like they're still kind of
Yeah.
playing within the rules, but they're just playing big, fast, hard, physical hockey, and I mean it's working for them. So they're not going to stop. It's not going to become playoffs, and they're going to be like, all right, we got to change our game plan. They're going to keep doing what they've been doing to have the best
Well,
40-game stretch we've seen in 30 years.
well, that's what I'm wondering. Do you think there's a chance that because this team obviously hasn't been to the playoffs, they haven't been forever.
Hmm.
Do you think there's a chance that they get into the playoffs, say they're against the Canadians, and they go down 2 or 3 goals in game one, and they're like, okay, now we have to let up so that we can focus on offense and score goals, and maybe the game
I,
plan
I I
starts
don't
falling
think
apart.
so. No, I think they've got the mindset. Like they've got the numbers to back it up, and just they've been doing what they've been doing this entire stretch, and it's been working.
Right.
So it's even if you get down in a game, it's you stick to the plan, and and in the end, it either works or it doesn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, with a team like this, and especially coached by Lindy Ruff, yeah, I don't see them going down in the game and changing up the whole process because at that point then you're cooked.
Right. Final thing I'll say about this Buffalo Sabres team. Do you think goaltending will be an issue for them in the playoffs? Not saying it's going to collapse like the way the Oilers have, but
Hmm.
you know, teams that win tend to have, a Bobrovsky, an
Hmm.
Aiden Hill having a career playoffs, Vasilevsky,
I'm
Jordan
gonna
Binnington.
say I'm not worried about it just because we don't know what we're gonna get. I'm assuming UPL is gonna be the starter. Maybe he is a Bobrovsky. I mean, probably not, but could he be? Yeah, could he be a Vasilevsky? Yeah. Could he go on an Aiden Hill or Jordan Binnington run? Yeah. Could he
Yeah.
be just straight ass and be a Stuart Skinner at times? Yeah. Could he be a Stuart Skinner that goes nuclear against Dallas? Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of
Because
an unknown.
I
And
don't know what to expect. So,
that's the main thing that I'm surprised I'm not seeing anybody talk about. There's a lot of people that are very excited to see this team in the playoffs and think they'll go very deep. And I mean, they've been incredible the past couple months. So fair enough. But the goaltending is one thing where like we don't see a ton of these teams without that at minimum, an all-star level goalie
mhm.
go crazy deep and end up winning the whole thing. So it'll
Mhm.
be interesting to see how they do. And either way, it's just super fun to see Buffalo
It's just a fun
trajectory
team.
on the way back to the playoffs.
No, absolutely. And
That building's going to be
yeah,
awesome. That's going to be one of the
how
best
crazy is it that
atmospheres.
yeah, and how crazy is it that March 23rd today. We're the home stretch of the season, and we're still actually talking about the Buffalo Sabres, and not in the sense of just being like, yeah, they've now been eliminated, and we'll come back to them in the offseason. Like we're gearing up for the playoffs with them and hyping them up as they're close to clinching
I was gonna say it's
and
not
whatnot.
even
Like
a if they're gonna make it. They're not clinched, but like
it
I
would
think
be
everyone would be
like a historic
shocked.
collapse.
It would be shocking if they
Yeah,
didn't make it. Even with how strong this division is, they've just put themselves in such a good spot at this point that it's almost unthinkable that they'd collapse that hard.
yeah. But we can move on from the Buffalo Sabres, one of the most fun teams in hockey, to team I mentioned that plays hard physical hockey. Back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Forward AJ Greer suspended 3 games for interference on Connor Zary. They didn't even call it as a board. It was just interference was the call of the penalty and led to the suspension.
To your knowledge, does
I'll just
that
ask.
impact anything? Like
No,
like future suspensions, anything like that? Like,
no, it's just weird that they didn't just call boarding.
yeah. I would
It's just
absolutely
weird
call it
that
a board. A hit
yeah.
from behind.
I mean, like it was it interference? Absolutely, but
Yeah.
I personally would have called boarding.
Yeah. Well, it's the same way, if we're behind the play and I stick some guy in the dick, that's spearing. He didn't have the puck, so I guess it's interference. You could maybe call it a slash, but
Yeah,
we have a specific rule for that.
yeah.
Um, sorry, I kind of cut you off there.
Hey,
What
no,
was your
all good.
question gonna be on that?
Oh, I was just gonna I was just gonna straight up ask just what are your thoughts
So,
uh
okay.
on this?
Um,
Yeah, that was it.
I mean, yeah, Greer is a very slimy player. Like he's, kind of taken over that Nick Cousins role a little bit in Florida as, cuz their entire lineup plays pretty on the edge to say the least, but he's one of those guys that's a depth guy that really does it a bit more often. And, he's the guy who after Hagel came back from his concussion in the preseason, he just kind of sucker punched him a few times. He body slammed. Was it Evan Bouchard? No, it was Trent Frederick. He body slammed him. He boarded Slavin, took him out for a little bit. Like all of those are this season as well. Like I'm
Yeah.
glad that he at least caught something. Um,
Yeah.
it's weird because 3 games doesn't feel like a lot because all of a sudden so recently we had 2 5-game suspensions, but given what's gone
Hmm.
on this season, I don't hate that. It was really dangerous, so I mean, if it was a couple more, I wouldn't mind. But I
Yeah,
think
so
3 is
that's
the minimum suspension where this feels like an acceptable ish um,
mhm.
penalty. Like if it was 1 or 2 games, that wouldn't feel like enough to me.
Yeah, and most people believe it should be more. A lot of people are pretty united on the stance that this should have been more. Now, the tough
Right.
part with that is it because it's a player on the Florida Panthers. If AJ Greer, everything he's done all year, did all
It's
that.
hard not to see it that way, right?
Say he was an Ottawa Senator. Would people feel the same way? Who knows? What is interesting? Yeah, interesting about this is he did it to Connor Zary, a former teammate of his, and it wasn't a battle going for the puck. AJ Greer already took his, I think it was a hooking penalty, so already knew he was going to the
Yeah.
box. The puck's gone into the corner. Connor Zary, the puck's not with him, and a few feet away from the boards, and Greer just sees his numbers in the boards and just shoves him. And it's like, again, maybe I could be wrong, but it does kind of tell you a lot about the player and the person to do
Yeah.
something that dangerous and intentional to a young player in the league who was a former teammate of yours. I think is pretty
It's hard not to see it as
concerning in
anything
it.
other than intent to injure, right?
And
Like
that's exactly what it
that might be
was.
more
Yeah.
appropriate than board. The only thing more appropriate than boarding here because
Hmm.
he saw
Because you can't
who it
justify
was.
it
He
for
saw him the
anything
whole
else.
way. Like the fact that it was those two just skating beside each other, he hooked them. Like it's like a 5-second developing play of just those two. He had, I don't know the last time there was a play this dangerous where there was this much time and just obvious forethought beforehand, right?
Like
Like when
he
Malkin
sat there
when
for like
Malkin
2 seconds
slashes Dahlin
thinking
in the
about it.
face, that's reactionary. Malkin wasn't thinking, he
Mhm.
was seeing red.
Yeah,
Greer just took a hooking penalty and decided, "Fuck this guy, I'm dumping him."
yeah.
And it's rough, and it was funny
It was a
because
disgusting play, to be honest. I didn't
obviously,
like it one bit, but I
yeah,
don't think many people did.
no. Um, I was talking to some people online about it, and it was funny because um, people were mentioning, the ones that I was talking about earlier, all the instances that he's already had that were pretty bad this season. And somebody else replied to that comment saying, like, that's not even including this fight. And it's got a link to it. And I'm going, okay, well, what does he do? Because it's a fight, right? Like,
Mhm.
what are you gonna do? Blame him for punching a guy in the head? It's a hockey fight. Maybe he does a slew foot or something dirty. I click on it expecting, like, except for this fight. Surely you're thinking when you click on it, it's a link to a video of a fight, right?
Mhm.
It was a link to a news article about him and Sonny Milano getting into a fist fight at a strip club over who was going to pick up the tab. It was
Mhm.
at least from multiple years ago. Both guys were on different teams than they are now, like when they're referenced in the article. So it's at least
Mhm.
multiple years ago. But I just thought that was funny. Like
Hmm.
I was expecting to see a hockey clip, and it was just these guys were fighting over like a $2,000 tab at a strip club or something.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. Um,
Huh.
I found it interesting. They were on separate teams at the time, and they were fighting over the tab at the same strip club.
Hmm.
Felt weird. I didn't look
That's
too far into it. You can go search it up for yourself if you'd like, but um, yeah,
the
that was
last thing
just a
I'll
weird
kind
thing.
of the last thing I'll kind of say on this is, and again, we could do a whole dive in on George Peros and what kind of dirt he has on Bettman, but at this point, it's like, what's the point? What more can we say that we haven't already said on here? So I'm gonna skip
Yeah,
past that because it's not going to change, and we know that, and we've just got to accept it. But it, it's interesting though, because again, it kind of feels like every new season we get into, there's a new precedent set and kind of
yeah,
how it's going to shape up how the rest of the season goes. And it's interesting that uh, Rantanen, took out Alex Romanov for the entire season with a clear push hit from behind into the boards. And,
yeah.
gets five in the game. Next game goes out there and hits Matt Coronado from behind, and thankfully didn't injure him in a way that made him miss time. But his face still got mashed pretty good. So again, like Rantanen does that twice, intentional both times. He only automatically got the 1 game suspension because
He did it
that's in the
twice in a
rule
row.
book.
Yeah,
So
they didn't
now
deem
AJ Greer
either
here, he
play
gets
suspendable, but they
yeah.
had to because he was got a game misconduct, which the refs on the ice deemed it that bad 2 games in a row. So
So that's what made me
according to
think
Department of
that
Player Safety, both were unsuspendable plays
yeah,
or not worthy of it. And
which had me
that's
worried that AJ Greer wasn't going to get suspended. So again, what I've liked it
I
to
think a
be
lot of people thought he
5 or
wasn't going to
more,
get one. And
and I
personally,
don't
I
blame
thought he
him
would get
because of
like
what
1
we.
game. I didn't think it would even be 3.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought it was going to be 1, maybe 2. Like I
yeah.
thought 2 was like the
Yeah.
max. Again, I thought it should have been at least 5, just on the like because you can paralyze a player doing that. Like you can end a career
That's the kind of
by
play
you do
why
it, and
they
the fact that it's
changed the
so
icing rule
intentional.
entirely.
Yeah,
Like so
to
that guys
avoid.
don't go flying into the boards like that.
Yeah,
So,
no, yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, I don't really have much more to say on it. Again, would have liked it to be more than 3. But I'm just glad at least there was a suspension because
yeah.
this type of shit just doesn't belong in the game. We don't need it. We don't want it.
It's just unfortunate cuz like 3 games, 3 regular season games. Even if that's the regular, like, you know, if you're, a guy who plays on the edge, let's say Arbor Jack guy, and it looks like you're going to play Buffalo, to use that example again, in the playoffs. If you see Tage Thompson going in first, hell yeah, for 3 games, that's it? To
Mhm.
take that could take Tage Thompson out for the season. Yeah, dude, he'll push him even harder and say, "Give me 5 games, easy money."
Yeah.
Like, it's it's something that needs to when it's this dangerous and can take a guy out for, like, an entire season or potentially more, it needs to be a very, very harsh suspension to make it so guys aren't
Yeah.
willing to do that, and
Absolutely.
yeah. Hopefully, we'll get there at some point. I feel like right about now is the most heat there's been on George Peros' seat as head of Department of Player Safety that we've seen in quite some time. You know,
Yeah.
it's been slowly building, but with the recent GM meeting, which they just talked about, we think that the players aren't being held safe enough. And Bettman was telling them, fuck off, whatever, it's good. And then this happens pretty soon after. Like, at some point, it seems like the dam is going to break. It just depends how soon.
Yeah.
Um,
And what causes it in the end?
yeah, because it's probably not just happening in the off season because they decided. It's probably because, you know,
Mhm.
I mean, you'd say something as egregious as a known dirty player kneeing on purpose a former Hart Trophy winner in the last 5 years and a captain, but apparently
Yeah.
that's not quite enough to get it there. But I guess it
Yeah.
did get the conversation started a bit more. So
It did get it ramped up, absolutely. Um, Alex Ovechkin, 1,000 career goals between the regular season and the playoffs. 1,000 for the grade 8, and thankfully, at least this one, he scored in typical Ovi fashion too.
yeah, just in his office, just like clockwork, it's the exact same goal that you'd think of when you think of Alex Ovechkin scoring goals.
Yeah.
And I love that this is a news line. I love that this is going around because I do think we need to look at regular season and playoff numbers combined way more than we do. I think
Yep.
season to season, if we're talking about how good a guy is right now, it makes sense to talk about just this regular season. If we're looking at guys' careers, if I'm talking about Jerome McGinley's numbers, his career is fully done. I feel like we should be including both stats. Like,
Yeah.
it almost makes it feel like playoff stats somehow mean less because people look at the stats and they don't really look at the
Yeah.
playoff ones as much. But
You're right.
obviously, you ask any hockey fan, those points obviously mean more. So
Hmm.
I would love the conversation to just in general be on a guy's career, his playoff and regular season numbers. Um,
Yeah.
but aside from that, I mean, congrats to Ovi. He's He's
Yeah.
still doing it. He's trying to get up to another 30-goal season. Looks like he's on pace to be pretty damn close. We'll see if it happens. Um, I believe he is still. I don't know. Depending on the last like 2 days, if it changed, but within the last week, I saw the stat, and he is still at 0. Count them, 0 defensive zone starts on the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's pretty nuts.
I mean,
We'll have to keep tabs on that
yeah.
until the end of the regular season and see if that holds up. Because again, that's pretty
If
nuts.
if it's a low number, sure. The fact that it's 0 is crazy. Like, even if Spencer Carberry is really on top of getting him off the ice when it's a defensive zone draw, Ovi that means Ovi hasn't been on the ice once this season for an icing against his team. Like, because then you can't line change
Yeah.
unless that's happened and they called a timeout, in which case I think then you can change guys, right?
No, you can't even call timeouts after icings anymore. If you're the
Okay, so
team
yeah,
that
it's not even
iced
that.
it, you can't.
Right.
But if
Like,
the team you're playing against ices it, like then I mean you can call a timeout if you want to, but if they're dog shit tired, yeah, why would you give them a break, right?
yeah, well, especially if Ovi's out there. If their
Yeah.
coach doesn't want him out there in the defensive zone, you'd want him there. So
Yeah.
that's just another crazy stat on top of his mountain of crazy
1,000.
other stats, including 1,000 career goals.
Yeah, Ovi truly one of the greatest all times, and congrats on 1,000. What's not so great, on the opposite actually, just straight up ass. The Pacific Division.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
that's a rough division.
division fucking blows, man. It is just it's not good.
It's
It's
so
not good.
bad, and I'm convinced we're gonna see a record broken this year, and not a good one. Um, I'm convinced that we are going to see a team with so many more points than some of the Pacific and wild card teams. We're gonna see one of those teams that has way more points than them miss the playoffs in the East, and it's
Yeah,
just gonna straight up be robbery.
yeah,
If the playoffs started today with what the standings are right now, the first team to miss the playoffs in the East is the Detroit Red Wings, 84 points. 84 points. That puts them above both wildcard teams in the West. The Preds and the Mammoth have 75 and 80 points. The Pacific Division has the Oilers, Knights, and Ducks at 77, 78, and 82 points. The
yeah,
Red Wings would be 2 points ahead of first in the Pacific, and they can't even get a wild card spot at the moment in their
yeah.
conference.
I will say though, and again, I do love Detroit fans, but I have seen a few crying online saying the league needs to change the playoff format. It doesn't matter how if they fucking change it to 1v8. The point is Detroit's still not in the playoffs. Like, you can be mad you might not make it, but to complain that the league is against you because of Pacific, that's I just hate that argument. It
Yeah,
really
the
just
league's
shows
definitely not
that's how
against
good
them
the
for
East
this.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even
Although
if
I
they made
will
it
hear the
one
argument
versus
they
eight,
should change
it's
it, but
yeah, absolutely. The playoff format should be changed, but even if they changed it, Detroit's still not in a playoff spot because they're still the not ninth in the East. You know, um, but to just show how bad the Pacific Division really is.
yeah.
So you've got Anaheim in first in the Pacific, Vegas in second, Edmonton in third, and then LA, Seattle, San Jose, all fighting for wildcard spot, maybe jump up into that divisional spot, but again, kind of fighting for wildcard spot.
Yeah.
The Pacific Division is the first division ever to lose 6+ times and win none on the same day. Meaning, and all six of those teams that I just
Yeah.
listed, with the inclusion of the Vancouver Canucks, um, back-to-back days, they all lost.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the second day, they all lost by multiple goals. Vegas lost 4-1 to Nashville. Buffalo beat LA 4-1. Philadelphia beat San Jose 4-1. Columbus beat Seattle 5-2. St. Louis beat the Canucks 4-1. And then Tampa beating the Oilers 5-2. Like, these are teams fighting for a playoff spot, and they all suck so bad that you could be
Yeah.
watching every other team lose and be like, oh, we win, we gain 2 points on them. Every single team, it's like not one team can win. They're literally
Nobody
all
wants it. Like,
so.
it's crazy.
None of these teams are a threat in the
No.
playoffs. Like they're
Like,
really
how
not.
many
Like the
times has it
Anaheim's
has it happened,
fun.
did you say? Like, I think it was the seventh time now. Like, I
It's
think,
never
yeah.
happened. They're the first division that this has happened to.
Oh, I thought I saw that in, like, all of NHL history, that's, like, there had been only 5 times where 6 teams from a one division all played and all lost, and then, like, it only happened
Oh no
5
no,
times
like
in
it's
all of NHL history, and
the
then it happened twice again
that's what I mean.
to
It's
the
the first one
Pacific.
where it's happened twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
like, just it
it's
happening
just
the
they're
one
bad.
day has only happened 5 times in all of history, and then 6, 7, haha, right 2 days apart or back-to-back days, like, that's so
It's
ridiculous. I remember
it's
because obviously Lightning fan, I, like, after we beat the Oilers, a lot of Oilers fans were pretty down, and I was like, "Oh, man, are they, like" they're pretty close to being out of the playoffs. I wonder if they lost a bunch of ground tonight. You go online and look. No, the Ducks lost. No, Vegas lost. No, they all lost. Like, they didn't
they all
lose
lost.
points on anybody despite losing. So, I mean, even just looking at the goal differentials of the top 3 teams in each division. In the Atlantic, plus 44, plus 59, plus 16. The Metro, plus 44, plus 22, plus 13. The Central, plus 82, plus 50, plus 31. The Pacific, -7, plus 3, plus 1. Those three teams combined, the top three goal differential combined in the Pacific is a -3.
Yeah. Well, then you can even go to the other three teams that I listed: LA, Seattle, San Jose. -26, -27, or -17, -35.
Yeah.
Like they're just bad. Like again, like and the thing is, as a Sharks fan, yeah, it's cool seeing them, fight for a playoff spot, compete. Oh, maybe they get in the playoffs. Yeah, they're also 26 in the entire league. If the regular season ended today, they would be the Sharks would finish
They'd be a lottery
5 points
team for
out of a
sure.
playoff spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'd have the seventh best odds at the first overall pick, and they're still right in there fighting for a playoff spot.
Those sound like COVID numbers. Like when COVID happened and
Yeah.
just everything was fucked up, and the Rangers were in a playoff spot and they got first overall. The Canadians were 16th in the league and they ended up going to the cup final. Like it just
Hmm.
sounds like everything's all fucked up, and it's just
Yeah.
it's just the Pacific has a lot of teams that are through wanting to or deciding they had to, um, going into rebuilds, and nobody's doing that in the East. The only team that wanted
Yeah.
to was the Penguins, and they're in a playoff spot
Hmm.
fairly comfortably too. Like,
It's
not fairly comfortably.
it's
They're
just a
they're in
bad
second in the Metro,
division.
but they're only 1 point back of 1 point away from being wild card 2.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then I guess
it's crazy. I
we
would
can
love
also
to
just
see the standings. I was just gonna say I would love to see them. Some people are saying like they should go down to 2 divisional spots. I'm at the point where I'm like, we don't need divisional spots. Like, use division
no, still do.
keep divisions around for scheduling the games. You play more against guys in your division and all that. I don't care about the division mattering for playoffs. I think it should just be like the top, whether you want to go top 8 teams in each conference or if you want to just go overall points and just do the top 16 teams flat.
No, you can't do top 16. No, because say you get a first round matchup of like Vancouver, Florida, whoever comes out of that series is fucked then. Because you've also on the flip side, you've probably got two teams that it's a maybe an hour flight between them. Right. That's kind of why they have
Yeah.
it the way it is to keep the playoff travel down. Or if you do the 116, which I've seen people suggest, you have to do the 4-3 rule, where
Yeah.
one team gets the first 4 games at home, and then the other team gets 5, 6, and 7, however long it goes. Like that's the
And you
only way you could
and you know what?
do
I wouldn't
segment that.
exactly hate that if like maybe you have, just whether it's 3-3 and then one back home for the higher seed team, or if you go 4-3, like,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, maybe you deserve to have your first 4 games of the playoffs on the road if you're 16th in the league, and maybe the team in first deserves to have that. So
No, you got to
I could
keep the
see an
West and
argument
East
for it.
Conference. Yeah, I see the argument, but I always just say every time because again, I'm all for the playoff format changing, but people need to realize just because we all want to change doesn't mean create the stupidest ideas possible. Like it can be something as simple as just the top 8 teams in each conference. Doesn't even
Yeah,
have to be divisional. Again, I would still like at least if you're
yeah.
top 2 in your division, you're in, and then
But what if
the
you're in the
the
Pacific
next
and
4.
everyone sucks, you know? Like, if
But
the Jets as the
it is what it
6th
is.
team if the Jets as the 6th team in the Central are better than you in 2nd in the Pacific, then you probably don't deserve to be there, right?
Yeah, but if Winnipeg's also there, that means they've lost a lot of games to these shitty teams. Winnipeg's one of those teams that's not winning against them. Nashville is finding ways to win against these Pacific teams. Utah,
Yeah.
Colorado, Minnesota. Like the thing is Winnipeg and St. Louis aren't. If they were, they're probably up right in there for a playoff spot. I mean, Winnipeg still is, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Personally, I
it is
think
just
yeah,
a
just
bad
going the
division.
best 8 in each conference would be the best way. Like, I don't even think one safe spot needs that to be there because if 8th in the Central, if last in the Central is better than first in the
No,
Pacific,
but it's more
then
so
they don't
for like
deserve it.
if no, but it's
But
more so for if you win your division, you should get home ice advantage. Even if you are in a shitty division, if you're number one, you should get home ice.
I, if you have a worse record than the team you're playing, I don't think you should.
Yeah,
I
and that's fair.
just
I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, I do
and this
get
is all
it, but
hypothetical, obviously, but
yeah, ideally mine is the top two, um, from each division get in. So like Colorado, Dallas are in,
yeah,
Anaheim, Vegas are in, and then the next two best teams. So in this case, it would actually be Minnesota and Utah. They're in the wild card spots. But then those last two spots, I think the NBA does it now. It's the play in.
the playing
So it would
round.
mean we get Edmonton would take on um, Seattle in whether you want to do best 2 out of 3 or just a one game one and done, and then Nashville and LA. And the winner of those two, that's your 7-8 seeds.
I've seen a lot of people bring
That's
that
the way
up, and
I would
I
be
get
okay
the idea
with.
behind it, but like it feels weird to have the tiebreaker be these specialty games at the end of the season in a
But
play-in
it's
round
not a
when like
tiebreaker. It's not like the teams have the same. It's just when with how competitive the league is and how close teams are. Like again, like we said, Detroit's
I
not in the
feel like
playoff
that's what
spot.
the
They're 12th
82
in the
games are
league.
for, you know? Like we don't need to see who deserves to
But
be
then
there in those games like
people shouldn't bitch about being like, oh well, if we were in the
oh,
West, we
no.
would have been in. It's like, well, you should have won your games then. You had 82, and you know
Oh, 100%.
that's kind of my thing. Is like, I just feel like with how close the league is now, it's like you could because again, the two teams that lose those games and like they don't make the playoffs, so it's not like they're in. It's just kind of a play in to get in
Yeah.
because of how close it's been. But
Yeah.
we know the format's not going to change.
No. No,
Just
every
stuck
time
with it.
it gets brought up frequently at any of these GM owners meetings, and it gets brought up every single time, but it's very quickly just like Bettman's like, "No, we love it." And that's the end
Yeah,
of it.
they love it. We don't, but they
Yeah.
do. So, um, wrapping up the Pacific. Actually, we can just throw it in here. Leon Draisaitl out for the remainder of the regular season.
Yeah.
And that's a big
Yeah, that's
blow
tough.
to the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, and right after that happened, obviously I got to, I watched the whole Lightning versus Oilers game, and it's very apparent when McDavid's out there and when he's not. Sometimes they get breaks, sometimes they get a couple chances, but they are not a dangerous team without him out there. And normally he's not playing on a line with Draisaitl, which means they can have 35 to 40 minutes a night of one of them is out there being dangerous as hell.
Yeah,
Now they're down to the 23 or whatever minutes they got McDavid playing a night.
yeah,
And other
McDavid.
than that,
Yeah,
it's maybe we'll get lucky and something will bounce our way.
they don't
Like,
look dangerous right now. Like
no.
it literally is just you throw McDavid out there, he comes off, and you just hold on until he can get back out there.
And he's got to
And
do
it's just not a
everything.
recipe. Yeah, he's got to do it all.
He's got to do all the goal scoring, but in that game, Bouchard gets hit, he falls down. It kind of looks like he might be hurt for a bit, and he's looking around like, is anyone going to stick up for me? And eventually McDavid's like, fine, I'll go grab this guy and give him the business because
I'll stick
nobody
up
else
for
was
you.
willing to even get involved that way. Like,
Yeah,
oh, it's
it's
absolutely brutal for that squad. And you know,
yeah,
um, McDavid had a lot of comments after the game. He said he's very lucky to be in the Pacific. He said it's a pillow fight,
it is a
trying to get
damn
into the
pillow
playoffs
fight.
right now. Which fantastic quote because he's 100% right. Um, but one thing that a lot of people have been talking about is that after the game, he gushed over the Lightning. Obviously, he's been coached by John Cooper in the Olympics and Four Nations now. So he said a lot of good things about the Lightning's coaching, the organization, the GM, all of that. Um, and it's funny because people seem to be split on whether or not that is a just him talking nice about the team that's a team that's doing well, or is that, he says they're coached very well and they get results. Is this a shot at his GM, his coach? Like, is that it's hard not to see it at least as a little bit of a fucking help me out here. Um, yeah. And
I didn't
earlier
take it
today
that
he
way.
walked it back a little bit, but
Yeah.
for me personally, it's hard not to see it as at least a little bit of a fuck. I'm trying to do everything I can, but I'm not giving the guys surrounding me to get the job done.
Hmm. Yeah. No, no, yeah, I didn't take it that way. And again, I don't think that's the way McDavid meant to be. But again, he did say it when you say stuff, all these players know the media is going to take it and interpret it the way that they want to. And so I got to be careful with your words. And actually, that can lean into something that I didn't put on here. I kind of forgot about it, but we can talk about it. All right. We've had a lot of technical difficulties, but we should be good now.
Yep.
Yeah, so that we were trying to talk about it. We did a couple of times, didn't work. So we're going to try and do it a little bit quicker because maybe we're just cursed. But Jack Hughes and
Yeah.
wanting his puck back, and this kind of goes along with McDavid's thing of originally Jack Hughes was saying, "I want the puck, I want my puck back," and him and his agent were very quick to kind of go back on those and be like, "No, we're just wondering where it was. Where's his puck?" And again, it's like it's
Yeah.
still not his puck. Just because he scored the goal doesn't mean it's his. It's a team game. It's a team win. And like we were saying, if anything, it should go to Connor Hellebuck if anyone's gonna get that puck.
Yeah. And I mean, it's it's funny because, you know, Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes as well, already in the past few months have already used the line, everything's been taken out of context with the whole White House thing and the Team USA and all that. But now he's trying to use
Mhm.
it again for this and say people were misunderstanding him. Nobody was saying anything that wasn't just like a direct quote from him, right?
Yeah.
Like he was saying he wanted it. He wanted the puck and like yeah, it's just one of those things where it was never yours. Did Jack Hughes bring this puck from home and then score in the game with it? No, like
Yeah.
because
Right.
it wasn't the Hockey Hall of Fame's either. It was the double IHF's puck, so it's their puck. But they gave it, they donated it to the Hall of Fame
Because they have
because
an agreement with the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yeah.
yeah, in the NHL, if you score 100 goals in a season or 100 points rather, 100 goals probably would get immortalized as well. Um, you know, a lot of the times the player gets that puck because they're not going to have a big thing set up for every guy who hits 100 points and have a spot for it.
Mhm.
So players end up getting those pucks. And I think Jack Hughes at this point just expects that he would be getting that stuff. These guys grow up and they
Yeah.
always get their big pucks. You know, you get a hat trick, you get the 3 pucks and all that stuff. But this means so much more to all the people who will walk through the Hall of Fame and be able to see that puck there than it would
Mhm.
to Jack Hughes in his house on a shelf.
Yeah.
Like,
Just so he can show it off and be like, "Look at my accomplishment," not the what we did. And the first thing I thought when I saw you said that, I just said, you know what? If he wants the puck, give it to him, but then have no recognition of the Americans winning the Hockey Hall of Fame. I think it's that
yeah,
simple. If it to him, it's my
like,
puck. I'm the hero. It belongs to me. All right. Well, it's then and it's got nothing to do with it's in Canada. It's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter where in the world it is. It's in the Hockey Hall of Fame where everything, all these great things from hockey
yeah,
go there. It's not a because again, people love to complain that Canada lost, but why should it be in Canada? It's in the Hockey Hall of Fame,
that's where the Hall of
the
Fame
most
is. Like,
prestigious building in all of hockey.
you don't
So
see Rush trying to get, Neil Peart's drum set back from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Love
because
Hole.
it's in the States, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't get they're like that's sick. That's awesome that it's there. That is the coolest. Like you could walk through there and be like, look at this whole thing detailing the saga of the entire Olympics. And there's the puck. I scored that. I scored the most important one. Like,
Yeah.
and instead all he sees is they took my item.
Yeah,
And
it's my puck. So it's like a
it's
kid having a temper tantrum. Where's my puck? Where's my puck? Like, and again,
I don't remember
people's
the last
favorite
time we
thing
saw a
was
strange season as Jack Hughes has had. Like everyone's expecting
yeah.
his team to be great. Turns out they suck. Then he loses out on a couple months of play because he cuts his hand on a broken glass at a team dinner. Then at some point he started dating Tate McRae. Then he wins the golden goal at the Olympics. It's like, what the hell is going on?
And
Like
then
he's
he's
just having
what
a
should have
very
been the
bizarre
highest
year.
moment in his life is kind of gone downhill ever since. And my favorite thing is the people that try to say, well, if Sidney Crosby asked for his golden goal puck back, he would have got it.
Yeah.
Well, Crosby never asked. Crosby didn't want it. He was pumped that it got to go be in the Hall of Fame. He's psyched that for the first time in his career, something was going to the Hockey Hall of Fame that he was a part of. But
Yeah.
he didn't want it. He was psyched to be like, yeah, I can go to the Hockey Hall of Fame one day and see that there and see the and remember the moments that me and this team put together. Because again, for Crosby, it wasn't my puck. It wasn't I'm the hero I scored. It was just
A
Canada
piece
won.
of hockey history now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very strange take, and I understand him wanting the puck, but
Hmm.
yeah,
To me,
on a
it's
series
just
of
always
L's that he's
fucking
taken
goofy.
already,
Yeah.
it's another one that looks weird. A
Again,
lot of
like
weird off
I
ice
can
stuff.
yeah, like I can stand it, but at the same time, I can still think that it's just really stupid.
Yeah,
And I think that's the way most people do kind of feel about it is like we
I think
get you
so.
want it, but at the same time, just shut up and focus on playing hockey for the Devils. Like that should be your only priority again now.
Yeah, I would love to know what Devils fans' thoughts are on this. Are they annoyed that he even like he's still thinking about that? Bro, focus up. Like eyes up here.
Hmm.
Look, try and win some games for the team that pays you money, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
with all that said, a couple of them a couple of times because of some technical difficulties, we can move on. You know
yeah.
what? I guess
Um.
it's as good a time as any. I had one thing that was not written down that we can talk
Oh
about.
yeah.
Um, so I have here a couple of stats between two players, two goalies, in fact. This is a Vezina conversation, and basically it's down to two guys for the most part. Um, I believe Vasilevsky is currently the betting favorite at like under two times your money right now, and Sorokin is in second with like 2.5 times your money, and the next guy is like 40 times. Like it's overwhelming odds as one of these two is going to win it.
Hmm.
And I just think we should go through. We should talk about a little bit of what they've done and see uh, who we think deserves it at this moment. They are
Yeah.
close enough that the final 10 games could very well and probably will decide it. Um,
Hmm.
but as far as some more basic stats go, Vasilevsky has a 915 over the season in 48 games, 915, 33 wins, and a 2.25 goals against average. Ilya Sorokin in 45 games has 29 wins, a 913, and a 2.51 goals against average. So a lot of those traditional counting stats lean very slightly towards Vasilevsky. However, one very sexy stat for goaltenders has always been shutouts. And in that situation, Sorokin leads Vasi 7-2. So he's got, and that 7 shutouts is league leading, by the way. Um, so those are some big stats. I think it's interesting that Sorokin has so many shutouts, but a slightly lower save percentage. So I went online and I looked up uh, who has the most games this season so far with a goals against average of 1 or below, and then I did the same thing with a goals against average of 2 or below. Because clearly it seems like Vasilevsky has a bit more consistency or maybe doesn't get blown out as often, but Sorokin is overtaking and downright stealing games more often.
Mhm.
The Islanders yesterday, they won 1-0 over the Blue Jackets.
A
Um,
huge win.
and I found these results really interesting. So for this is for the goalies with a goals against average of 1 or less. So you either get a shutout or only let in 1 goal. Vasilevsky leads the league with 14. Sorokin is in second with 13. So very close right there.
Yeah.
Obviously, in those 13 games, Sorokin has let in 1 or less, which is 0.
7 are
7 of them
shutouts.
are shutouts.
Yeah.
So if he's hot, he's hot. But they're very close in that regard. If you up it to 2 goals against average per game, 2, 1, or 0, now it's Vasilevsky with 23 and Sorokin with 15. So Sorokin only gets 2 more games added to that stat if you increase the range to 2 goals against. Um, but Vasilevsky gets an extra 9.
Mhm.
So much more likely to get a 2 or less goals against game from Vasilevsky, but if you're just having one of those nights where your offense is not clicking and you need the goalie to not just be great, but steal the game completely,
Yeah,
you're
downright
more
steal
likely to
again.
get it from Sorokin.
Mhm.
Um, which is at this point, their stats are very similar to the point where it feels like that's kind of some of those things that you have to look at to split hairs between the two. Um, do you have an inkling on either of these two guys on who you feel is ahead? Like it feels
No.
really close.
I really don't, and I think you nailed it when it is gonna come down to the final 10 games.
Yeah,
Like, I because again, right now, to me, it really is a 50-50. If you had to ask me, if I was a voter and they said, "Right now, you
yeah,
gotta vote, who are you picking?" I would pick Sorokin, and it would solely be because of the shutouts. But again,
right.
by the time the season's done, Sorokin could still be at 7, Vasilevsky could be at 2 still, and I might vote Vasilevsky because, again, I think these final, however many games they have and how many are they gonna play out of them, I don't know, but they're gonna be important, and I imagine both of them are gonna be playing a lot because Tampa's gonna wanna try and, jump back over Buffalo and lock in top of the Atlantic. Playoffs aren't a guarantee for the Islanders, so Sorokin just played on back-to-back nights.
Oh,
They're
really?
rolling with him as much as well. I mean, they kind of pulled him in the Montreal game in the third and just threw Riddick in because they knew that game was a loss and big game against Columbus, so
Yeah.
you
Still
kind of
though,
had to
playing the
go
majority of
back
the
for him.
game and then
Yeah,
playing the next night, you don't see that too often in
don't see it very
today's
often.
NHL. Um,
So again, I think they're both going to be playing a lot down the stretch, and I genuinely do think that's what's going to determine it because again, yeah, they're so close, and again, it really is only a two-man race, and yeah, it's close. But that's the thing,
yeah.
I threw it out on Twitter the other day. The only award that's kind of a lock right now is the Calder
Yeah.
going to
The
Matthew
Calder's been
Schaefer.
locked up for a while.
Everything else is wide open. Well, not wide open, but we don't know who's going to win
I
any of
think I would add the
these other
Selke
awards.
to that conversation. I think looking at
Oh,
that,
you know what? Actually, now at
I
this,
think I
yeah,
think Suzuki has that pretty locked up.
yeah,
But yeah, everything else is I really thought we at this point in the year we would be talking about the Rocket in that same vein of locked up. Like McKinnon was up like 8 or 9 goals at one point on second place and he's, still playing incredibly well, but he's slowed down a bit especially on the goal scoring front
hmm
and some guys right behind him have gotten red hot,
yeah.
namely
There's a
guys
lot
like
of
Cole
guys in there.
Caulfield and Matt Boldy. So,
Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnston, Kucherov's up. Like there, it's
yeah, Kucherov's up there. Like after seeing him score 100 assists in a season, I really thought like obviously he's elite, but I never thought we'd be at the point where he's gonna challenge for the Rocket for goal scoring. But
yeah, he's right in there.
there's some really fun awards races going on right now, so it'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see where a lot of them fall.
yeah, it's Yeah, there's a lot of good battles. Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and that's probably a good bit of what we'll be talking about in the next couple episodes. Focusing on the
Yeah.
playoff race and all that. So one more thing we've got here, and then got a little bit of World Cup news. But I guess we did talk about it before, so I guess we can mention it now. Um, Colorado Avalanche, first team to clinch a spot in the playoffs. Dallas Stars, not long after them, clinched a spot. And of course, to no one's surprise, the Vancouver Canucks are the first to be eliminated from playoff contention, which,
Yeah.
I mean, they're 15 points below the next lowest team, Chicago, so makes sense.
I mean, they just got mathematically eliminated. Like we're into late March. Like I feel like we usually have teams eliminated sooner than this.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because the worst teams are in the Pacific, and the top teams aren't great in that division, so
Yeah.
there's still theoretically, obviously, a path to some of those teams getting into the playoffs for a lot longer than normal.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
as you know, now some teams on either side have either clinched or been eliminated. Almost every episode until the playoffs, we're probably going to have at least a couple of teams either clinching or being mathematically
Or be
eliminated.
eliminated.
So
Yeah.
we'll definitely
So
be keeping up on those as we go.
yeah. So one more thing before we can kind of talk a little bit about the World Cup, because we did get some news on the day that you left. How fitting was that? Very. The Detroit Red Wings. So again, they're in that tier with Buffalo, Anaheim, San Jose. Long playoff droughts of not making it.
Yeah.
And we are talking about how now coming down the stretch, they lose Dylan Larkin and Andrew Copp, kind of their 1 and 2 centers down the stretch.
Right.
Now I hear that, and it does suck. And Detroit in recent years, the last couple of years have had some bad injury history that has really kind of derailed their season. Who do you think has the two teams, who has the most man games lost due to injury this season? Which two teams do you think have lost the most individual games from players due to injury?
The Florida Panthers have to be up there. I
The
mean,
Florida Panthers are number one with 404, and this is as of 3 days ago.
okay. What other teams have been really injured? I mean, the Lightning did lose a lot early season. There's definitely some more obvious ones I'm missing, but
Tampa's 8
Tampa's
with
down to 8
275.
even.
Think of a really good team in the Atlantic, though. Like a really good team.
Like Buffalo?
The Buffalo Sabres, 372.
Who have
They've
they
lost
even
the
been
second
missing?
most. I think just kind of guys here and there all throughout.
I guess Kesselring, but
Kessering has missed some time.
interesting.
Ottawa's second last with 107. Detroit, 63.
Been exceedingly healthy this year.
And super. So again, yeah, it does suck losing Larkin and Cup, but at the same time, the team's been really fucking healthy all season that you can't even pull the injury card. If you want to just say the team straight up cursed, okay, like fine, I'll hear you on that. But we can't be throwing around the injury card anymore, at least for this season for them, because
I was gonna say they
they
had
had all
two
season
important injuries in March now, but like if they're happening now and that few injuries have happened already, you should have a nice cushion of
you
points
should have a cushion.
because
Yeah.
you haven't been injured at all. Yeah. At this point, it's hard not to look at them as a little bit cursed. Who knows? Maybe
Just
they're
cursed.
passing
Yeah,
it.
that's
Maybe Buffalo's curse has moved on.
oh
Like,
no. Oh no.
I mean, that's a lot of
That would
marches
suck.
in a row where they have just collapsed. Sometimes it's injuries. Sometimes they just decide to lose a lot of games right at the end. Like,
Yeah. And it sucks because again, like I want to see Detroit back in the playoffs, but
yeah, they have a
it's
lot of
tough for
players that would
them.
be really fun in the playoffs. And we covered it in our predictions for the end of the season a little bit ago. We both said we
Mhm.
wanted to see them make the playoffs. We both predicted they would probably fall off and miss.
They'd fall short, yeah.
And since then, all they've done is really lose and prove us right there. So
Yeah. It's tough.
it's yeah.
It's tough. But with that, we can dive into a little bit of news here we got about the World Cup of Hockey. So we do know in 2028 the World Cup hockey taking place in February. That is important. It is not a September, not a before training camp or anything. It is kind of like the time frame of the Olympics. So we know it's taking place in Czechia and Alberta. I believe Prague is the city that was chosen, along with Calgary, will host the preliminary rounds, the round robin games and such, and then the semifinal games and the finals will take place in Edmonton.
Right. So normally the World Cup happens in, if I'm not mistaken, around the
Well,
May.
they for what? Like soccer?
No, for
Or
hockey. Or am I
oh
thinking of
no,
the is it labeled something else? Like the
that's
ones
just the
where
World
all the
Championship. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because all the
yeah,
teams that generally make the playoffs don't have players go to play in that.
yeah. That's like
And
the
it's all the guys
international
that didn't
one
make it.
through the double IHF. Yeah.
Okay.
But this is NHL. Like so, they've
Right.
already said NHL rules. There in the final game semifinals there will be no 3-on-3. It's Stanley Cup playoff overtime.
Thank God.
All that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Um, and they did announce 8 teams, 8 countries. No team North America. Um, and we do know that Czechia, Finland, and Sweden have already said that if Russia is in the tournament, they will not be. But
Right.
again, we are like kind of little bit less than 2 years away, but 2 years away, so a lot of things can change. And the NHL kind of just goes with what the double IHF is doing. So if the double
Yeah.
IHF decides, hey, you know what? If and again, things will have to change in order for them to make the decision. But if things do change, and the IHF allows Russia back into the World Championship, World Juniors, and whatnot, then the NHL will most likely. But again, they're not just going to magically decide, "Hey, Russia, welcome back." Like,
Yeah.
things are going to have to change in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not really looking into that too much because again, it's
A lot of things can change in 2 years. I think
Mhm.
there's a world where the geopolitical thing, everything stays the same, and Russia's not in, and all these teams are good to go. I can see where the war ends and Russia is in, and the teams go, okay, we said that when they were at war. Now we're okay with them being in. I could see a world where the war is ended, the IHF allows them in, then the NHL says Russia can play in this, and those teams still go, no, it's too fresh, keep them out for another go around. Like
Mhm.
I all of those seem
Yeah.
incredibly realistic. So it's really one of those ones where we'll just see where things go. We'll keep an eye on it, but up until it gets close to the date, it's really hard to predict how any of that's gonna go.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing with Russia, right, is so again, for me, I think I I have 8 countries here that I think are the 8, and it's going to be pretty crazy if this one country is probably the one that gets cut if Russia's in, and that's Germany.
I was
Leon
gonna say,
Draisaitl, Tim Stützle, Moritz Seider, they probably don't get to play in this if Russia's in because you've got Canada, lock,
yeah,
US, lock, Sweden, lock, Finland, lock, Czechia, lock, Slovakia. They're now a lock, in my opinion. And you've got Switzerland, who I think is more of a lock over Germany.
yeah, yeah. It's really hard
So
to.
it's really, you're kind of looking at it's either Russia's in, Germany's out, or Germany's in, Russia's out, I think, for that last spot.
Do you think
Which
at
kind of
that
sucks
point?
because Draisaitl's
Do,
a top 5 player in the league. And
Yeah. Do you think at that point they would add a 10th country and go from 8 to 10?
No, just because of how the format for this tournament kind of works, I think they no.
Yeah, they would
Maybe,
have to
but
move some
but
stuff
then
around for
who's
sure.
then what you have to pick a country being like, hey, who's going to be kind of the punching bag of the tournament because it's a clear drop off after that.
Yeah.
Whether
But
it's
I
probably
imagine that team would be
Denmark.
happy to be that punching bag.
I mean,
It might
yeah,
be Denmark because
I,
like
I
those
think it
teams,
would
they
be
want to be
Denmark.
in there.
Hmm.
Like, they got something to prove. I think Denmark is a very likely answer. Um,
And and people will say,
especially since
oh,
it's
if Russia's
NHL
in,
based. So it's like it's all
yeah,
NHL players, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not, you got some teams that, kind of come in and they make a bit of an impression sometimes, like, but a lot of them are out of NHL players, like something like Team
Actually,
Latvia.
I
Like,
don't know.
who knows what
Can like
would Latvia come in because like they've been decent, obviously on the lower end, but they've been better than people expected. But how
I
many
actually
of
don't know
their
if it's
best
only
players
NHL
are even
players.
in?
I don't think it's all because you wouldn't be able to do Germany if it was only NHL players.
Yeah,
So I
like
think
even a
I
Team
think
Germany.
like players that are over in other leagues can get approval to come, but when they are coming over, it is like it's NHL rules, so they got to
Right.
adapt
Yeah.
to that. Um, I know, and again, they were very exciting back in 2016 when they did Team North America, and that's obviously everyone's easiest fix is, well, if Russia's in, just add Team North America, but you can't really do that anymore. One, it's kind of goofy
No.
when it's a World Cup. Like you can't have a team that's not a proper country. Second of all, players like Bedard, Schaefer, Celebrini, guys like Ryan Leonard, like they're gonna actually maybe not Ryan Leonard, but those first three, they're gonna be on Team Canada. I'm assuming Bedard and Schaefer
Yeah.
make the
They
jump to
better
play for them.
be.
So
They
we're just at
frankly
a
should have been
point
this
now
go around.
where you just can't do. And the NHL wants to do kind of like a proper World Cup, like you know,
Yeah.
no made up stuff. It's so again,
The
but we are
only way
2
they
years
could get
away, and
away with that I could see is if Russia's out, I could see a world where they cut it down, and I don't think they would do this, but I think this is the only way it could really work, is if they cut it down to only 4 teams again, and then they go Team Canada, Team USA, Team Scandinavia, which would be Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, um,
well, they
and
did do Team
the
Europe
fourth
in
one, and then Team
last
Europe.
World. Yeah, huh?
Yeah, Team Europe and Team Scandinavia to break that up, I think would create 2, I think Finland's the last one I didn't say, to
Yeah,
create
but
2.
yeah, I
And
get
even
that.
then,
But
I think
you
the
are ripping
company
the
or
opportunity
I
from
think
a
the
lot of
countries would just
players.
be better. I think
Yeah,
8 countries is just better. So it's fixing a
mhm,
problem that doesn't need to be fixed.
yeah. The one thing I will say is I'm pumped. It's coming to Alberta. Obviously, we're from Alberta, so
Yeah, that'll be great.
the new barn's gonna be ready in Calgary. Gonna get to hopefully take in some of these games, and it's yeah, it's just gonna be awesome. And it's nice to see that again. We are 2 years out, but the NHL is getting the ball rolling and showing that they're actually taking this serious and they're gonna try to make this a awesome tournament.
You know what? I hadn't actually even really thought of it until just now, but I guess this is probably a big reason as to why Gary Bettman was visiting Calgary in the last
Yeah,
2 weeks.
that was the
To
exact reason because they were
He's probably
giving their
checking out the
pitch
new
on.
arena, seeing what it's going to look like. Is it going to be ready in time? All that, and then
Yep.
he liked what he saw enough that, yeah,
The next week, he's like, "Yeah, it's going to Calgary." So it's pretty
so,
cool.
yeah. So
Pretty cool.
that'll be a very fun time for the podcast when that rolls around. That
Oh yeah.
we'll be able to get some really good coverage on that. Maybe we'll camp out somewhere and see if we can, see Lou Lamorello, whoever's the GM of the teams, running around.
Daddy Lou. Um, but yeah, that's kind of everything going on around the league right now. Again, Braden is back full time, so we're back to regularly scheduled episodes.
Yeah.
But before we wrap this one up, we get to finish things up with another game. And I will be honest, I did forget to do one, but do you know what that means? I already had this one prepared, and I mentioned it last episode. I have another player blender, and this is the this was the pretty wild one that I was alluding to because I already had it done up, and
Okay.
I didn't have a game prepared, but I said, hey, you know what? I already got this one ready, so we can roll with it. And that's what we're going to do today. For those who are
All right.
unfamiliar with Player Blender, pretty simple. I have two players. I have a little bow for each of them. And it's up to Brain and you at home to figure out who the players are. And you'll know you figured it out because their names will blend together as one using first and last names for both players. Brayden, are you ready for player number one?
I am ready.
Player number one. Some say I was potentially the worst signing last offseason. Despite scoring a career high 35 goals 5 years ago, I haven't come close to achieving that number again. Highest in a season being 17 since then, so not even half. I've
Oof.
had a fun nickname everywhere I went. However, I don't think I can have this nickname on my new team that I am now on. And that is player number one.
And they were at the start of that, you said they were signed this past off season, the most recent one,
Yeah,
to one of the worst contracts handed out.
potentially
Interesting.
one of the worst signings. Yeah, I'm gonna give you player number two
Okay.
here, and maybe it'll
Okay.
help
Yep.
line things up for you. Player number two. I am a former top five pick, currently playing on my fifth team. I've been a consistent point producer my whole career, while I hit 1,000 games this season and am now 1 point away from 500 career points. I recently got to represent my country at the Olympics for the first time, which was all fun and games until I saw my teammate suffer an awful injury.
Very interesting. So that obviously is going to make me think that it is somebody on team Switzerland. They saw Kevin Fiala go down. I unless I'm forgetting something, that was kind of by far the worst injury we saw at the Olympics. Um, at least the most obvious one we saw on the ice. Um, Swedish
Okay,
player, not Swedish, Swiss
so
player.
what? Is you're that's what you're
Yeah,
thinking? Okay,
I'm thinking that top five pick that is
a
Swiss.
former
There's
top
not a
five
lot of
pick.
guys. There's not a lot of guys that fit that bill. Um, a Nico Heischer obviously went first overall. So bounce back to the first one. The first one, he was a high goal scorer. 35 was his career high.
Five
Since
seasons ago.
5 seasons ago, I don't know the exact timing, but I'm leaning towards uh, Andrew Mangiapane for that one. I know he scored a lot of goals one year. He hasn't been that guy since he left Calgary, and he signed with the Edmonton Oilers in the offseason. And maybe not the worst contract given out, but I mean, I think they've waived him at this point, and they gave him like 4 mil a season, so it's not good. Like 4 years ago, that would be the 21-22 season, which I think is the year where like the Goudreau, Kachuk, Lindholm line. I think that's the year they went off. So it would make sense if that was his kind of his best season.
Okay.
Mangiapane. Can you read the second player again?
Second player. I am a former top five pick, currently playing on my fifth team. I've been a consistent point producer my whole career, where I've hit 1,000 games this season and I'm 1 point away from 500. I recently got to represent my country at the Olympics, which was all fun and games until I saw my teammate suffer an injury.
Okay. So obviously not Nico Heischer. He's on his fifth team. Nico Heischer's one team guy so far. Um, Timo Meyer, I don't believe was a top 5 pick, but
He was
he's
ninth.
also on his second team. Pierre-Luc Dubois is another guy I'm thinking about, which, frankly, I don't really remember.
Pierre-Luc Dubois is Canadian.
Is he Canadian? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking he's just a former top 5 pick. I believe he's on his 4th team, not his 5th team, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's moved around a bit, but I don't believe it's him if he's Canadian, because he
I will
wasn't on
say
that team.
when you're trying a hint that I think could help, and again, this is a freebie hint. Try different pronunciations when using
Okay.
players, because maybe that'll help kickstart something.
Okay, fair enough. I think I need to expand my thinking from at least outside of the team Switzerland. I think I need to focus more on the top 5 pick who is on their 5th team. There's not a ton of guys that have uh, been around that much when they have that much pedigree early on. But who gets moved around that much? Uh, Jonathan Drouin was 3rd overall. Played with the Lightning. He played with the Habs. He played with the Avalanche. He's playing currently.
He also
Did he
didn't
get
play in the
traded from the
Olympics, so
Islanders?
yeah, they
The
just moved him.
Olympics.
Wasn't the
It's
Olympics?
also got to be
That's
an
the big thing.
Olympian who fits the bill too, doesn't it?
I will tell you, you're on the right track with Switzerland, because again,
Yeah,
what they did, again, the injury, like you said,
yeah.
there
I was gonna
wasn't
say
anything worse than
there's
the
a
Fiala
world
one.
where it's like a Canadian and like calling it Crosby, but like the
No,
the Fiala was definitely the worst one, and the guy who's out for
yeah,
the longest because of it.
yeah.
I don't. Oh man, that should narrow it down a ton. A Swiss player on their fit who's been traded a decent bit and top 5 draft. Like how many Swiss players have been taken all time in the top 5 even?
Two.
2. Okay, and it's not Nico Hischier. So if I think of the other guys who's been drafted there, I've instantly got it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Go back to player one and just different pronunciations. It's key. It's a key part to this game.
Andrew Mangiapane Yakupov. And I don't know for sure it's Mangiapane either. That's an inkling I have, but
Okay.
Andrew Mangiapane, it's a lot of Russian guys apparently. Who was on that Swiss squad? Why can I not think of more players that were there? It's not Kevin Fiala. I
This
don't
is a
think.
pretty crazy hint. With player one, think about the injury from player two.
The injury from player 2. Oh man, that we covered that like crazy. That was everywhere. Tom Wilson hit him into the boards. Tom Wilson, 35 goals. Is that the most he's had?
No, it's got
No,
nothing to do
because
with
you said
Tom
no,
Wilson.
yeah. For player 1, think about the injury from player 2.
Yeah.
For player 1, but
That'll go into the pronunciation of player one.
that plays into the pronunciation of it.
Yeah. I guess it is a pretty tricky one.
That's tough. Can I hear the description for player one more time? I want to see if I'm on the right track with Monge.
Some say I'm potentially the worst signing last offseason. Despite scoring a career high 35 goals 5 seasons ago, I haven't come close to achieving that number again, which 17 was the highest. I've had a
Right.
fun nickname everywhere I went. However, I don't think I can have this nickname on my new team that I am now on.
Okay. Okay. So that I feel like that confirms it a bit for me that it is Mangiapane because notoriously Breadman was or bread or stuff like that was one of his nicknames because I believe Mangiapane in Italian means bread or something
I
similar.
think it means eats bread,
Yeah.
something like that.
So
And
maybe it go does it go off the nickname?
no,
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like Breadman Nugent Hopkins or whatever.
no, no, no,
Um
no. You just got to think of the way you pronounce it, like the last name
Ma-
when you're doing it.
Manj Mangia Pain. Uh, Mangiapane, Mangiapananze Kopitar. I can't think. I can think of like 3 players on Team Switzerland. I can't believe how quickly that team's entire roster is out of my brain. Like I Mangiapane Gurgensons. No, he's from Latvia,
And
probably.
remember that the
Uh,
last name will flow into the other player's first name.
yeah,
Think of Austin Matthews' injury. What did he hurt?
his knee. Mangiapane. Who Mangiapane
I'm,
Nico Heischer? Like
no,
that
you're like right in there now. It literally comes down to just remembering the only I do believe I do think he's the only other top 5 pick that's Swiss.
well, it's not Roman Yossi. He was like a second round pick. He was like late,
What a
I
steal
think.
for a second rounder. Yeah,
Great pick.
great pick.
Man, who even had I can't even think of guys who have like a first name that starts with N other than Nail Yakupov.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like my
Keep going back
god.
to Neil Yakupov. I'll
God.
give you 30 seconds here.
That's fair. That's fair. There should be a time limit on this.
And you definitely do know
Man,
this player.
yeah. I mean, they've been on 5 teams. They've got to be in the league for a minimum 5 seasons, probably a lot longer. So they're probably older.
Surprisingly not too old though. I'm actually kind of surprised to see this player's age when I did this. Well, like still on the older side, obviously.
Noah Hannafin was he's American. Uh, I'm trying to think.
Three,
It's somewhere in
two.
2011 to 2014, and I can't think of any of them. I can't think of
Is it?
like Griffin Reinhart.
To be fair, but this guy was drafted by the same team as Griffin Reinhart.
Oh God, he's some bust from the island.
Yeah.
Andrew Mangiapane Dobson.
Right in there though.
I don't think
Felt like
I
it
don't
was
think
like
I've got it.
right on your tongue. All right, everyone at home, you can lock in your answers. This was a tough one. Are you? You will. You will feel bad once you hear it. Are you ready
Yeah,
for the player blender? It is.
Andrew Mangiapane Nikolai Ehlers.
No, he's
Okay,
Danish
okay.
and also on the second team. Andrew Mangiapane Nino Niederreiter.
Nino Niederreiter was a top 5 pick.
5th overall.
Holy,
Yeah.
that makes sense. He is one of the
Oh,
all-timer Swiss
2010.
players. 2010 even.
2010 draft. Because Islanders to Minnesota for a while, Carolina, Nashville now. Oh,
Yeah.
Winnipeg for a couple years.
I was trying to think. I was like, man, 5 is a lot of teams for a guy that's that high up. Like even some of those guys, like it feels like Pierre-Luc Dubois has been moved a shit ton, and he's only on his 4th team.
Mhm.
Like I was like, I can't even think of a top 5 pick in general with that many teams.
That moves that. Yeah, because by the time they're
Neither
on their
one
like
does.
fourth team, they just end up over in the KHL
I was gonna say at a certain point,
at that
if it's
point.
not panning out, teams stop taking a flyer on them.
Yeah. You
That
got
was a good one.
Mangiapane pretty quick, but you don't need to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. But I guess if you knew he was a top 5, you maybe then would have gotten him. But
It's one of those things where, like, I'm sure somewhere in my brain I remembered he was a top 5 pick, but, like, every time I'm looking at the past drafts, I, like, relearn it a little bit.
yeah, fair.
But
But
he could have come across my mind thinking about Swiss players for sure.
yeah, that's why every time you're saying Mangiapane, I was like, right there.
Yeah.
Um,
No, those were good
yeah,
hints.
that was definitely a tough one. So if you at home were able to figure it out, round of applause for you. Braden, you don't lose any cool guy points though, because
Good.
I'm well aware that was a very tough one. But that is it for this episode. We are at the tail end here. Once again, do want to thank all of you for tuning in. And again, we are back on the usual schedule, Tuesdays and Fridays, as Braden is now back. A lot of big matchups coming down the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks. Is again a lot of playoff spots still open. Only 2 teams have clinched. So it's going to be a wild ride. But before we wrap this one up, Braden, as always, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yeah. It's a pretty rough go right now. If you're in the Pacific Division or if you are the Detroit Red Wings, we'll see who can end up getting hot and taking a playoff spot, because especially in the Pacific right now, it is still wide open. If any of these teams in the battle want to go on a bit of a run, they can absolutely force their way in there. Like the Kings, like the Kraken, the Sharks, like any of them, they go on a win streak. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not super tough if you can get some wins together. I can't believe how bad this this division is.
Dude, it's just
Even the
it's
top
so
teams.
shit. It's just it's so bad.
Congrats to the Ducks for being top of it.
Yeah. Someone's got to be on top of that shitter. But that is it for this episode. One final time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you wonderful people out on the ice later this week.